Hopefully you've had a wonderful weekend getting ready for the, the upcoming holiday. So got 2 or 3 topics that are of import here as we move into the new year. So first thing I just want to remind you, the 5-minute moneymaker last week was how you deal with them when they just want to talk about money or just want to talk about Social Security or just want to talk about one issue but don't necessarily want to go through the 21-point checklist process. So make sure you go back and watch that 5-minute moneymaker if you because that is something you're going to run into on a regular basis. And then the 5Q breakdown, we looked at the dangers of putting your client into your stories and why you don't want to do that. And then second is always know the point you're trying to make, because if you don't, everybody's going to get confused. So please take advantage of these 2 tools and watch them every week. It's not a huge commitment. We're talking about 5-10 minutes at most. I just saw a recent article on F squared. Does everybody remember did anybody know what happened to F squared here about 8 months ago? What happened to them? See if anybody knows. Tanked, but it was worse than tanked. What were they doing? Yeah, misleading info and fudging numbers. Yeah, so what they were doing is they basically created a portfolio, back tested it based on the last 5 years. There was no real money in it, never was real money in it. They just went back and looked at what could we have done to make this work the best over the last 5 years, and then they used that as their real numbers. Is that kosher, guys? Is that an okay thing to do? No, I mean, anybody that was investing that, were they getting what they were buying? Now here's the big thing. We've talked about this a couple of times, but here's the big change. The SEC is now finding individual advisory firms for selling F squared. We all know that the SEC went after F squared, but now the SEC is going after the advisors that sold F squared. Their fines are ranging from $100,000 to $500,000. So what's the lesson there? Get your facts right. Don't rely on glossy brochures and fancy sponsored events. Second thing, I think the biggest thing is don't rely on what? Don't rely on what? Yeah, back testing. If it sounds too good to be true, dig deeper. And don't make promises that you can't keep. So what do I mean by that? You hear me say this over and over and over again. When it comes to the equity side of the portfolio, what do we promise? We promise them 3 things. The markets go up, they're going to go up. The market goes down, they're going to go down. And luckily in the past, the market's gone up more often than it's gone down. Otherwise, can we make any, and I want everybody to answer this, especially anybody who's got 65, can we make any other promises besides that about, hey, we're going to lessen the downside, hey, we're going to outperform, hey, all that is what? 100% horse hockey, okay? And if you don't do that, you're not going to be in a danger of getting clobbered by somebody lying to you, okay? Because here's the sad thing. These advisors were lied to. They're getting double whammied. First of all, they were lied to by F squared, which means they look foolish in front of their clients, and now the SEC is going after them as well. Don't do that. We are tapping on the door of 20,000 for the Dow. So I just saw an article about this, which was kind of eye-opening for me, and I thought I would share it with you. So here's, just because, here's what happens. When the market hits a major round number, bad things tend to happen. So when the market first hit 100, when it first hit 100 down here, it was 1906. So when it first hit 100, it was 1906, and the PE was 18.1. By the time it left 100 for the last time, which means it hit 100, went below 100, hit 100, went below 100, hit 100, went below 100. By the time it hit 100 and left 100 for the last time, it was 1933. Guys, that means it wallowed for how many years? How long did it wallow between around that? Yeah, 27 years. Next time, 200, big round number, right? The PE was 1865, and by the last time, I didn't have time to research these numbers. The last time it hit was 15, the PE was 15 0.13. I can't give you the dates on those, but I did find the dates for first time the Dow hit 1,000. It was 1966, and the PE was 18.3. The last time it left 1,000 was 1982. So how many years was that? See you math geniuses out there. 16. So it wallowed for 16, 17 years. So it hit 1,000 in 1966. Yahoo! The Dow was going crazy. Oops. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And by the last time it left 1,000, it was 1982. So the first time it hit 10,000 was 1999, and the PE was 41. That's ridiculous. 41.4 was the PE when it hit 10,000 for the first time. When it hit it for the last time, and you know what? When I say last time, is it necessary? Can we see a 50% decrease in the market? So when it says 10,000 for the last time, is it necessarily the last time? But even if it was, how many years did it wallow when it hit that high mark before it got back again? 11. So we're knocking on the door of 20,000. So is that a great thing or a kind of a scary thing that we're knocking on the door of 20,000? And by the way, where's the PE? Where's the PE? It's in this range. It's not in that range. PE is not down, Marcus. So it's in this range, not this range. So if it's knocking on the 20,000, hey, that's fantastic until what? It corrects. So we're early in the bull market or late in the bull market? Late. Are we knocking on a round number or not knocking on a round number? So and then with everything else that's going on in the world, are things more in flux or less in flux than they've been in a while? So again, I have half my money in the market. I always have half my money in the market. When the market falls 50%, guess what? I take some of my money out of fixed and put it in the market so I can remain at 50-50. I'm always at 50-50. So I love the market. But I love it how much? 50%. I always hedge my bets. Always. Make sense? So Jeff is going to talk. We're running into 2017 now, so we all should be thinking about what's happening and what we're going to do for next year. And we should be mapping out. Should we, when we're setting up our marketing calendars, should we be doing it month by month, quarter by quarter, or year by year? Month by month, quarter by quarter, or year by year? Yeah, by the year. So you should be thinking about what am I going to be doing for the year. Here's how I mapped out mine. I did. That's when I was doing seminars. I did 2 seminars in January, right, or at least I had on the books 2 in January, 1 in February, 2 in March, 2 in April, 1 in May, and then nothing in June, July, August, 2 in October, 2 in September, and 2 in October, nothing in November, December. Now my pipeline usually gets so full I'd have to go ahead and back it down and cancel some of those things, but I had them in my calendar. It's a lot easier to cancel something than to put something in the calendar. So you should have your calendar booked out, and then from that point on, you can remove things if you get too busy, but you don't want to be get to the end of a month and say, geez, I don't have anybody to see it. I need to make money. That is, guys, it drives me bananas when I talk to an advisor, and they say, oh, I need to make money. I don't have anything going on. I'm like, really? What does that sound like? Does that guy sound like a successful small business person, or a guy who doesn't know his you know what from his you know what? You should have a plan for the whole year. Not, I don't know what's going to go. I don't know what I should do next month. Oh my gosh, I'm in dire straits. I have no clue. Don't do that, guys. So with that said, Jeff's going to kind of go over with the eye to eye. We had 35 guys do the eye to eye in the September, October with a huge amount of success for about it's about 60%, 70% of them. 30% of the people struggled. About a third did really well, and about a third knocked it out of the park. And I'll just be straight. Guess what? The third that knocked out of the park, the third that basically wrote more business in those 2 months than they did in the whole entire year, and actually in the last 12 months. So they basically in 2 months wrote as much as they'd done, and all these guys did, um, than they did the previous 12 months. Guess what they all did that the other two-thirds didn't do? Even the third that did great didn't do that great, but had success, and the third that struggled. What do you think that third that blew it out of the park that made as much money? Mike's got it. Yeah, they sent in tapes. They sent in tapes, they sent in tapes, they sent in tapes. Why? And these are the guys that didn't need to send in tapes. The fact that they sent in tapes told me they were how confident in what they were doing. Told me they were how interested in making sure every single meeting was better. Were they holding themselves accountable for doing the system and doing the 21, or not holding themselves accountable? So Jeff, when we see people that don't send in tapes, what do we absolutely know in our minds after doing this coaching guys for 16 years? Are they doing the 21 or are they not doing the 21?
Well, my experience is they're not, and that's why they're not sending in tapes, because they don't want me to hear that. The thing that you want to guard against is you just want to guard against, because this happens a lot. People come to training, they take a look at what we have, they're all on board, and then they get home and they think, you know what, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and, because I'm learning the system, but for now, I'm just going to go ahead and keep doing what I'm doing and just add in and fold in a lot of this as I can. And what happens is for now turns into forever. And you get a year down the road and what you find is that you're doing what you were always doing, just folding in some things that you like that we have here and there, and it doesn't work. It's one of those things that you kind of have to do it or not do it. It doesn't work if you only half do it. You have to do it. You don't have to do it well for it to work, but you have to do it. So that's kind of the experience. And like Mike said, we had a lot of people that had a really good year. So to those of you that had a good year in 2016, the first thing that I want to tell you is congratulations. Because a lot of people had a lot of success, and so congratulations. And if you're one of those people that had a good year, congratulations to you. If you're not, and you feel like, it was an okay year, or maybe it was a disappointing year, but you're looking forward to 2017, that's good. I mean, we need to look forward, because the reality is no matter what happened in 2016, 2017, we have to do it all over again. That's kind of the nature of the business. So as we head into 2017, we're always, if we want to do as well or if we want to do better, to be able to do that, we're going to have to bring on new clients, which means we need to find them. So the question becomes, okay, well, how do you do that? How do you go about finding those people? And we all know referrals and existing clients are the easiest and the best. And so if you've got kind of a tax practice, you know that, because you just do taxes and you bring in your tax clients that you already have and you convert them after tax season. Or if you've got Medicare clients, you do Medicare hot and heavy from October to December, and then you convert them January through October the following year. So you've got those people. Existing clients and referrals are always the easiest and best. And if you're just coming on to 5Q, you know that we start you off with the 21 Lite, because that's going back to existing clients or to referrals or to warm prospects. That's easiest and best, and that's why we start you off that way. And you need to take that serious. There's a lot of people that are just thinking that the 21 Lite is something that you do, makes me do this for the first 2 or 3 weeks, but I'm just going to go through it and kind of half-ass it, and then I can get to the real stuff. The 21 Lite is the real stuff. And if you take it seriously and you use it to get good, and you close those people, because it's easy to close those people and make an impression on them and even get referrals from them, then you find that you've kind of front-loaded your marketing. You've got extra money in your pocket. You don't have to pull from your savings account to market. And so take that 21 Lite seriously. But eventually, we're going to run out of those people too. I mean, we're only going to get so many referrals in a year, and there's only so many existing clients that we can go back to. So when all of that is said and done, then what? Well, I always say the guy that I'm looking for is this guy, and he's a hero to me. And he's a hero to me because he has money, he needs to do it now, and he wants an advisor to tell him what to do now. So who's that guy? Well, oddly enough, you might think, well, that doesn't exist, but it does. It's probably the guy with a 401k. You know, he worked for 30, 40 years at the company. He's put away money during that entire time, and now he's ready to retire. He's got $300,000-$400,000 in that account, and he's thinking, I got to do something with this. I'm leaving, and I need to do it now, and I don't want to do this myself. I mean, I never had an advisor before, but that's just because I was socking it away in the 401k. Now that I'm turning 65, 66, and I'm retiring, I need advice. And you love it when that guy comes into your office because that's the easiest guy in the world to close. I mean, he's got money. He needs to do something with it now, and you're not competing with anybody. There's no other advisor in the picture. The problem with this guy is not that he doesn't exist. It's that he's a four-leaf clover. I mean, they exist, but they're hard to find. And really, quite frankly, to find them, you have to get lucky. I mean, it's just a matter of being in the right place at the right time. And so one of the things we want to talk about is, if that's your marketing strategy, being in the right place at the right time, well, then you have to market like crazy. You don't need to just market every month. I mean, there are organizations out there that tell you you need to be out there every week. And the reason they tell you you have to be out there every week is because that's their marketing strategy. Just be in the right place at the right time. And if that's your plan, then you need to be out there every day. And you can't be out there every day, but every week, that's what they tell you. And the problem with that is, even if you did that, you'd spend so much money on marketing that, yeah, because you're out there, you find these guys every once in a while, but it's never more than just to close a case or two to pay for you guessed it, the marketing. So you can keep marketing, but you're not making money. See, the problem with marketing is ultimately it's expensive. And the other problem with it is a lot of times it can feel like no one responds, or at least no one with money responds. See, what we really want is cheap marketing that only gets people with money who are ready to do something now. That's what we would love. That's what we, ideally, in a perfect world, that's the thing that we're all after. The problem with that thing is, if it really existed, we'd be out of a job. And you heard us talk about this before. If there was that thing that would get people with money who were ready to do something right now, didn't need any persuasion, didn't need any pushing, well, the insurance carriers would use it. The mutual fund companies would use it. The money managers would use it. They have hundreds of millions of dollars to throw at this problem. You and I, we're lucky if we have 5, 10 grand. And so if that existed, we're their biggest expense. They just cut us out and they just market that direct to the people, and they've got hundreds of millions of dollars to not only research it and develop it, but to advertise it. We'd be drowned out. So that thing, fortunately for us, it doesn't exist, because if it did, we'd know right away, because they just tell us, hey, don't need you anymore, thanks, but you're out. So that doesn't exist. So let's talk about what does exist and how maybe we can leverage that. So I'm going to throw a number up here. It's 65,833. Now I'm not looking at the questions, and so I'm just going to kind of ask these rhetorically. And if you have questions, just save them to the end, because I think that a lot of questions get answered if you just kind of see it through to the end. So 65,833, what is that? I call that the bottom line. So what that is if you were to do an eye-to-eye cost $3,950. At a 6% commission to make that back, you need to close $65,833 worth of business. That's your break-even point. You close $65,833, the marketing is free. I haven't made any money, but it didn't cost you anything either. That's your bottom line. Now that kind of assumes that you get in front of somebody with $65,833 to do something with. But what if we could put you in front of a combined asset total of $1 million? So you were guaranteed to get in front of a pool of people that had at least $1 million to move. And that's the eye-to-eye guarantee. So let's talk about that guarantee because it's changing. So I want to talk about the changes. Let's talk about the guarantee. It's changing based on experience. Your experience, because like Mike said, we've had a lot of people do it. Our experience, because now we've had a lot of people do it, and we have some experience with it too. And their experience, when I say their experience, I mean the mail house's experience. So between your experience, our experience, and their experience, we have a lot of experience, and experience is really the best teacher. And so here's what we've learned. Here's the guarantee. The guarantee is that we're going to put you in front of $1 million in investable assets. So we're not guaranteeing the number of appointments anymore, and I'm going to keep harping on that, but I want you to understand that the new guarantee is you get in front of a pool of people with $1 million in investable assets. We're not guaranteeing the number of people. You could get in front of 3 people with a combined total of $1 million in assets, or you might get in front of 30 people and they're probably going to have a lot more than $1 million, but you'll know that they have at least $1 million worth of assets. But no longer are we going to say, well, we promise you'll get 30 or even 7. We don't know how many we're going to get you in front of, but we are guaranteeing that the combined total of assets that those people that you do see will have is $1 million. Now, here's how the guarantee works. You get $395 back for every $100,000 under the guarantee. So let's say you do this and you get in front of some people, but it didn't add up to $1 million worth of assets. Well, for every $100,000 that they fell short, or we fell short, let's call it we fell short, you get $395 back. Now, how do we come up with $395? Well, it's $1 million, $100,000 increments, so there's $100,000 increments. So we took the $3,950 that it costs, and we divided it by 10, and so for every 10th that we fall short, you get a 10th of your money back. That means $395 for every $100,000 under the guarantee. Now here's the good news. The $100,000 increments are rounded down in your favor. So suppose you get in front of some people, but all of their assets only really add up to be, say, $685,000. We're going to round it down. If it starts with the 6, we only got you in front of $600,000 worth of assets. We came up $400,000 short. That means you get $395 times 4. And it's a money back guarantee. It's not a credit toward future marketing. It's money that you get back. So if it doesn't work, you don't get a credit, you get money. That's the best kind of guarantee that there is. Now here's another slight change. It's $3,950 with the guarantee. It's $3,450 without the guarantee. So if you decided to mail without the guarantee, you would save $500. You would only have to pay $3,450. Now let's talk about why would somebody want to do it without the guarantee. Well, like Mike talked about, there's a lot of people who've done this with a lot of success. They didn't have any problem getting in front of people, and they didn't have any problem getting in front of assets. And so for them, they already know from experience it works. And if they can save themselves $500, that's just what they're going to do. But either way, it's available to you however you want. Okay? So that's the guarantee. Now let's just look at an example of the guarantee and how it works to make it more clear. Let's put some real numbers to it. Let's look at the extremes and then let's look at the middle. Suppose you get in front of some people, but they don't have any assets. They have nothing. Zero. That would be the worst case scenario. You get in front of people, but nobody has any money. If that's the case, you get $3,950 back. Not a credit. You get $3,950 back. That was your cost in it. We didn't get you in front of any money. We owe you $395 times 10 for the $100,000 increments we fell short. So you get $3,950 back if nobody has any money. Well, let's say you get in front of people, but they don't have $1 million worth of assets. They fall somewhere in the middle. It's $500,000 in assets. Well, you get $395 times 5, the $500,000 we were short, for a total of $1,975 back. Okay? If you get in front of $1 million worth of assets, we fulfilled the guarantee. You don't get anything back. But that's okay because you have people with $1 million worth of assets in front of you that you can close. Okay? So that's the guarantee. That's the example. We're guaranteeing the amount of assets, not the number of people. Now let's talk about anybody that's done it has had this experience, and here's kind of the elephant in the room. What about no-shows? That was, from experience, everybody's experience, the most difficult thing to kind of deal with because they made an appointment, but they didn't show up. So we can't say that's an appointment, but it's not exactly a zero either. What it ends up being is a lead. Because you've got a name, you've got an address, you've got an email, and you have the ability to follow up with the DRIP and the other programs that we have to eventually take that lead, maybe turn them into a prospect. I don't know if that's going to be a week from the time you start dripping on them, a month from the time that you start dripping on them, 9 months from the time that you start dripping on them, but eventually they can become a prospect, and if they become a prospect, if you're good at the 21, they will become a customer. But we can't count them as an appointment because they didn't come in your office. And we can talk to you and help you if somebody comes to your appointment and then declines to go forward to another appointment. We can give you some hints on what you can do to get back in front of that person. But if they don't show up in the first place, there's not a lot you can do other than send the newsletter and give them that handwritten note. We've talked about that. So it's not really an appointment, but it's not really a zero either. So here's how we're going to handle leads. People who make appointments but don't show. Those are what we call a lead. Those count as $250 toward your refund. So you're going to have to pay something for the lead. You have to pay $395 for an appointment, but you don't have to pay anything, but you have to pay $250 for a lead. And how we came up with that number, it sounds a little arbitrary, but as we looked around out at the universe of what people sell good leads for, and remember, this is somebody who called in, made an appointment with the understanding that you would look at their portfolio. So this is someone who called in, gave their call-in information, told you that they wanted you to do a portfolio review and set up a time to come in and do that. They just didn't show up. If you went to a lead company and you said, hey, I want somebody that I'm going to get a name, I'm going to get an address, I'm going to get an email, and they're going to have called in because they want me to look at their portfolio, those leads run about $250. So we're just charging.
No, they run 300 plus.
Right. So we're charging you the going rate and a little bit less.
Yes.
So you're actually getting a deal. So in our previous examples, how would that work? Well, you get in front of people but no money. So you would be owed, and you had one no-show in there. You would be owed $3,950, but the no-show is debited back to us $250 per no-show. So in this example, it would be $3,950 minus $250. You'd get $3,700 back. What if you got in front of some people, but they didn't have $1 million? They came up short, say halfway in between 500,000. Well, like we talked about in our example, if they all made appointments and showed, it would be $1,975 back. But if one no-shows, that's a lead. That's credited back $250. So $1,975 minus $250. That's $1,725 back to you. What if you got in front of some people? They all had $1 million worth of assets. There was a no-show. I mean, that would have put you over the million, but we don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything for the lead. We fulfilled the guarantee, and so everybody's square at that.
There's been a lot of experience over the last 2 months. So why this change?
Yeah.
So here's why this change occurred. I'll just give you an example. In 2-day period last, I don't know, was it like November, December, or probably October. In a 2-day period, I talked to 2 different guys. They each had 3 no-shows. Okay? So one guy, guess what he ended up doing? He got 2 of the no-shows to come in. He ended up closing $450,000 from those 2 no-shows. Now, guess what he did to get those no-shows back in? He sent them he immediately reached out with a phone call. He immediately had the two epidemic marketing go out, one right away and another one 2 weeks later. He sent them out a little. He said, what else can I send them out? I gave him a little article to send out with a little note. So he went after those folks, and he went after them in a very nice, friendly, a value-added but aggressive basis. Now, the other guy, guess what he did? The other guy with 3 no-shows, guess what he did? Nothing. He just called up Missy and hounded her and hounded her and hounded her for, I want my money back, I want my money back, I want my money back. Which he got the money back, but guys, was he better off getting the money back, or the other guy who went after these folks, got not all 3, got 2 out of the 3, and ended up closing one of them for 450? Who made out better? Who made out better? The lazy-ass guy that just said, I want my money back, I want my money back, or the guy who I don't think he went through huge amounts of hoops to send out a couple of epidemic marketing, a newsletter, I'm sorry, a news article with a little note? So guys, I'm in the business of helping you make more money. I'm not in the business of helping you save money. Now, I want you to market with no risk. But when you give, what I found is, not with everybody, but with some people, when I give them no risk, which means when these no-shows didn't show up, that guy didn't lift a pinky to go after those guys. And did he make more money or less money? Come on, answer this. Nobody's answering. I want somebody to answer this. Making more money or less money? Yeah, less. A little less or a lot less on a $450,000 ticket? And this was, and Missy, was this just one guy, or did we see the guys that actually aggressively went after no-shows? They got some of them come in, and then there was another group that did what, Missy?
Absolutely. If they aggressively went after them, they got them to come in. If you didn't make any phone calls, you didn't do anything with them, guess what? They didn't come in.
So guess what I'm helping you by being your coach to do? Go after these no-shows, because you don't make money by getting a refund. You make money by going after those people that are, like Jeff said, called in, said, I want you to review my portfolio, and then for whatever reason, and here's the other thing I found out with some of these guys that had no-shows. They never called. They did not call when the people made appointments. What are you supposed to do, guys? When they make an appointment, what are you supposed to do? Make an immediate phone call out, warming them up. These guys with no-shows, guess what they didn't do? Didn't do that. We had guys that didn't send out the folder. You're supposed to send out the folder, the welcoming folder, right away. They didn't send that out. So what they were doing is they didn't want to put in any effort whatsoever, and they wanted people to magically come in, and they wanted people, and these are the same people that wanted people to magically move their money that didn't know the 21. So, guys, we've changed this system slightly. There's still no risk there. Or I should say, there's still very minimal risk there, but I want a little bit of risk there to prevent you from being lazy. Lazy doesn't make you money. Motivation makes you money. So that's why we've added this no-show. When I found no-shows, yeah, you weren't paying for no-shows. I found people weren't making the phone calls, weren't sending out the folders, and then they wouldn't actually even chase these people at all. Stupid. That's stupid, guys. So we don't want you being stupid. We want you making money. That's why this is here. Okay? Sorry, Jeff.
Yeah, and really, Mike makes a good point. You're not, marketing is so that you can make money. We're not trying to save money. I mean, the problem with, we all want to save money, but here's the thing about saving money. You can only save so much. I mean, your expenses are your expenses. You can only save money up to a point. If your goal is to just save money, well then you'll die a death by 10,000 paper cuts. You'll save money, but you won't make any, and so you'll slowly go out of business. If you want to be in business and you want to have the lifestyle that this business can afford you, you have to be out there with an eye to making money. It doesn't help you to save money. What helps you is making money, and so that's the goal, to make you money. Now, some people would say, well, why don't you just guarantee both the assets and the appointments? Well, here's why. We can't guarantee both. It's because no one, not us, no one, not the mail house, no one could promise you a 4-leaf clover. Like Mike was saying, some people were just hoping that, well, somebody will come in that will have money and need to do something with it now, and there won't be another advisor in the picture. You know what, if you're doing this, will you run into those people? Yeah, occasionally. Will you run into them with every mailing? No. No one can promise to put you in front of a 4-leaf clover. If they could, like we talked about, who would do it? American Equity would do it. The money manager would do it. The mutual fund companies would do it. So if somebody tells you that they can do it, it's a bold-faced lie. If they had that thing, they'd sell it to the insurance carriers or the mutual fund companies or the money managers. The fact that they're talking to you means they don't really have that thing. See, what we can do is we can guarantee to get you in front of people. We still have outside the box in the seminar to get you in front of people. We can also underwrite a guarantee to get you in front of money. That's what eye-to-eye is, a guarantee to get you in front of money. So we have both. We have the seminar that will get you in front of people, guaranteed. We have eye-to-eye that will get you in front of people with money, guaranteed. So you do have the seminar to get you in front of people. You do have eye-to-eye guaranteed to get you in front of money. Now, the way that the seminar works, I know a lot of you that have been with us for a long time, this is kind of a refresher. For some of you, it might be new because you never did the seminar. You've always done eye-to-eye. But the seminar, the way it works is, it still works the way it always has worked, and it's still available to you, is $80 per person per reservation. So it's per person. That means if they're a couple, 2 people, it's $160 per couple. That's the guarantee. When people call in, if no one calls in, you get all your money back. If 2 people call in, you get all your money less the $160 back. But we were averaging about, I think toward the end there, it was about 57, 58 people, if I remember right, per event. That was,
yep.
So with eye-to-eye, we're not guaranteeing you the number of appointments. What we're guaranteeing you is you're going to get in front of $1 million worth of assets. The seminar cost $4,000. The eye-to-eye cost $3,950. With the seminar, you weren't getting appointments, you were getting reservations to a seminar. So remember, you had to learn the seminar. And that's not, for those of you that did it, you know That's a lot of time. That's a lot of effort that went into learning the seminar, that if you've done eye to eye, you don't have to do any of that. You don't have to learn a seminar. The people are coming straight to your office. They're preset appointments. They're not reservations to a seminar. They're preset appointments to your office. Now, with the seminar, there wasn't any guarantee that these people would have money. With the eye to eye, the guarantee is that they'll have $1 million worth of assets for you to talk to them about. With the seminar, remember, people were coming in to get their questions answered. They heard you at the seminar, they were intrigued by something you said, they had some questions, they would make an appointment, and it was your job to get them to go from people with questions to people who were ready to do something. With the eye to eye, people are coming in for a portfolio review. They don't have any problem with you looking at their statements. That's the whole idea. They want you to do that. And so everybody's experience was, yeah, this is superior in every way. I'm getting in front of people with money. It doesn't cost anymore. I get preset appointments versus reservations. I'm guaranteed to get in front of $1 million worth of assets, not just people with questions, but people who with $1 million worth of assets who are coming in for a portfolio review. But if you're hung up on the fact that I want people, we do have the seminar out there for you. Now, I don't know of anybody that's done one in a while, because we've had such good success with the eye to eye.
Well, I'm just to jump in here, Jeff, I'm getting a ton of the guys that worked hard, like Michael and Bonnie, said advisors make more money off the eye to eye than they ever make off seminars with less effort and less money. I mean, and they busted their butts to be experts at the 21, and they took the few no-shows. We've been averaging about 11% no-shows, but the no-shows they went after, I mean, they're doing it right. We got Perry saying, I mean, everybody works better when there's a little bit extra skin in the game. So there's a lot of people here. I just want to, again, I apologize for those of you that had a lot of success that were actually going in there, because you're all saying, dudes, this is a no-brainer. And I apologize. We're not talking to you. In fact, many of you guys already said, I'm not even doing the guarantee. I'm just doing the 3450 anyways. And we've already had many of you guys actually even say that, because you're not worried about this. So we're talking to the other, 50 or 40 or 30% of the people. So I apologize. I just want to be upfront, because I think, Jeff, they thought we were talking to them. You guys that did awesome, we're not talking to you, so I apologize for that. So keep going, Jeff.
Yeah, and the only thing that we're trying to communicate here is that it's changed. So I don't want anyone to be blindsided and say, I thought it was something different than it is. This is what it is. And again, like, people are validating, yeah, this is great. It works awesome. And so if you've done it, you know that it works awesome. If you haven't done it, I would encourage you to do it. Now, I know it's probably somebody who hasn't done it that's probably wondering, well, what if you only get in front of one person with $1 million? Well, that's a great problem to have. I mean, because that's what we're really after. We're after people with money. If that, in some ways, I say this a little bit facetiously, but in other ways I'm serious. That actually would be the perfect situation. One person with $1 million, because then I could just close them and get paid, and wasn't a lot of work. It was 3, maybe 4 meetings, because they had $1 million. It might have gone an extra meeting. But you know what? If you're not comfortable with that, we have the thing that will put you in front of a lot of people. But we have the thing that will put you in front of a lot of money, and that's the thing that you should be really eyeing, thing that you should want to do in 2017. But whatever you're most comfortable with, we'll guarantee either one. There is a catch, and the catch to the eye-to-eye guarantee is, to cash in on the guarantee, you're going to need a receipt, which means, in this case, the receipt is your recordings of the meetings. You have to record your meetings. And it shouldn't be a big deal. You should be recording them now. But if you're not recording them now, anybody that's recording them would tell you, recordings only make you better, and they only make you more likely to succeed. We started this call off by talking about the difference between those that have success in any kind of marketing and those that don't is recording their meetings. That's how you get better. That's how we know what you're doing. That's how we help you to get better. People that record will succeed. But to get the guarantee, to get back on topic here, you need to have your recordings. It's the only way we know how much you got in front of. And we need it for the mail house as much as we need it for anybody. Because they need to know, we need to know how they're, when they say they have this list that gets you in front of people with money, we need to be able to validate that. And if that's not the case, we need to be able to go back to them and validate that. So we need those recordings. So record every meeting. Keep those recordings. Keep your receipts. The recording is your receipt. I mean, the reality is, guys, if you went to take a pair of pants back to Target that you bought there because it didn't fit, if you don't have a receipt, what are they going to tell you? Sorry, can't help you. So if you get in front of a bunch of people that don't have any money, but you don't have any recordings, guess what we're going to tell you? Sorry, can't help you. So it's not a big deal. You just need to be aware and know up front, record your meetings, keep the recordings. Those are your receipts. That's what you use to cash in on your guarantee. Okay? Now, just to be clear too, let's say you had 7 meetings and you've got 5 recordings, and those 5 people only have, say, a combined $500,000 in assets. Guess what you're going to get back? 0. Because we're missing 2 recordings. Guess what? Guess what's on those other recordings for all we know? Another $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 worth of assets. So I can't stress this enough. Record all of your meetings, not most. All. Keep all of your receipts, not most, all. You're not going to, I can count the handful of times, I can count on one hand the number of times in a year that you're probably going to need all that, but don't know that you need it, okay? Don't say, well, I have most of them, but my batteries went out on my recorder. Guess what we're going to tell you? Sad, so sad. You know what you should do? Keep extra batteries in a drawer in your desk. So sad.
And guys, you know what? Here's the thing. Missy fought me on this. Jeff fought me on this. But I said, no, they need to send in all recordings. Why am I drawing that line in the sand, guys? What? Because people who send me in all the recordings are telling me what? If I'm a football coach, and the people that send me in all of their tapes, what are they telling me? That's right, Jonathan. They're telling me they're committed. They want to get better, Mike. That's right. It's only what we ask for. I'm getting a whole bunch. Yeah, you're all that. Yeah, you're putting up front money. So that's, guys. Missy and Jeff both fought me on this. They said that's pretty. That's pretty black and white. And I said, you know what? Sometimes in life, guess what we need? Sometimes in life, guess what we need? Yeah, a kick in the butt, accountability. So we've been nice, guys. Have we ever required you to send in tapes where we said this is just a good idea up to this point? And here's again, the people that basically made as much in 2 months as they made all year long, they send in all their tapes. They don't. And I apologize for you guys. I mean, I should have just sent you out an email and said you didn't need to be on this call. But well, it's good to hear it again, anyways. But so you don't quit doing that. But here's the thing: if our guys that are basically writing as much in 2 months as they do all year, with the eye to eye, have sent in all the tapes, a little light bulb went on above my head and said, you know what, we got to quit saying, hey, you know what, Jeff, it's a good idea to send in your tapes. And guess what I said? What did I say, Jeff?
No, you have to send them in.
That way we can have not just a third of the guys doing that, we can have all of you guys writing that kind of business. And that's why you came on board. And you all promised me when you sat in that room, when we were talking about, and you were thinking about coming on board, you all told me that you wanted to be held accountable. You all told me you want to get better. You all told me that you would do what it takes. I'm telling you, what it takes is to send in your tapes. Not some of them, not most of them, not the ones that I'm not embarrassed about, not the ones that I remembered to tape. You'd send in how many of them? All of them, okay? All of them, all of them, all of them, all of them. Make sense? Sorry, Jeff.
No, that's fine. Keep sending all of your tapes. Ultimately, the best marketing is marketing that puts us in front of people with money. And that's what this is. Guaranteed. And we should all be willing to do that kind of marketing. Worst case scenario. What if you only close $65,833? Then all of that marketing was free. And some of you have heard this story, I've told this story before, but there's an advisor that had a mentor when he was breaking into the business. He was with a captive company, and they assigned these guys mentors. And his mentor would take him out on meetings and help him and show him what he did and kind of sit in with him and show him how he was doing. But his mentor told him, when I broke into the business, the way that we marketed is I had these cards with phone numbers that I would call, and I would cold call people and try and drum up appointments. And for every card that resulted in an appointment, they charged me like $200. And so I paid for that marketing. I might have 5 appointments, and so I'd pay them $1,000 for those leads. And so I'd go out on these appointments, and sometimes I would only make back the $1,000 that it cost me for the lead. So guess how long I was willing to do that? And the guy said, probably not very long. And the mentor said, no, I was willing to do that all day long. I'd do that as long as they'd let me. Because the way I looked at it was, I was getting my name out there, and I was getting experience.
Well, can I jump in there, Jeff?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
When I started with IDS, guys, I paid $65. This is back in 1989, 1990, 1991. I paid $65 a lead to IDS, which is now American Express or whatever they call themselves. $65, and guess what? Guess what I was getting? Somebody who requested a free road atlas. They weren't calling in for a free portfolio review. They weren't calling in for a free information on anything financial. They were calling for a free road atlas. But I bought those things for 3 years because that's how I made a living. Great living, no, but it paid for itself. It more than doubled, more than triple paid for itself because I was able to convert those people that I spent $65 for. Not all of them, but enough of them that when I spent $65 for somebody who just wanted I was able to call them and say, you know what? You got how's the road atlas? Is it working for you? Have you thought about taking? And I would roll that right into somehow getting into a financial conversation. So if you, I mean, I agree with Jeff said about that guy. I kept doing that until I found a better way to do it. But still, if you're doubling and tripling what it costs you to market, guess how long you should do that marketing?
And even if all you're doing, go ahead. And even if all you're doing is breaking even, you're still getting experience, you're still getting better, and it's not costing you anything. It's free.
And I'm going to jump in here. Some people are asking this, guys, 2 or 3 questions. Guys, we're guaranteeing the million. The 135 jobs that we did, I'm sorry, not 130, I don't know, how many jobs did we do, Missy? 35 people did it, but how many jobs were that?
We had 59 jobs.
59. The 59 jobs, it depended on the week, but our average was 1.9 to 2.1 million per mailing. The average number of people we got in front of was about 7. So we're not trying to get you in front of one person with $1 million. That's too risky for us because actually I've had to kick in all cover all the costs now for mailings that don't work. So we're not trying to get you in front of one person with $1 million. That's way too risky. We know, geez, if we knew that person, that's all we would mail to. And we spent a lot of money. Instead of just sending a postcard or a writing style invitation, I'd send a gift in the mail if we could find those people that had $1 million to invest. Yeah, if we knew those people for sure, we'd spend a lot more mailing. But we don't know who those people are. So we're not trying to get you in front of one person with $1 million. The average, again, is about 7 people. And the average assets was about 1.9 to 2.1. That means sometimes we got people in front of 500,000, and sometimes we got them in front of 6 million. But the average was 1.9 to 2 million 2.1 million, and the average number of people was 6 or 7. But as somebody said earlier, yeah, it's not. I'm not worried about the program. I'm worried about being able to close these people. Guys, whatever I've been saying you should be doing all of December and before you actually do your first, see your first eye-to-eye person, what should you be doing? Because let's say I only got in front of, me personally, if I only got in front of one guy with $1 million, how worried would I be? I wouldn't be worried. Because I'm going to take him to the 21. He's going to spend 2 hours telling me he doesn't trust their guy, and guess what? When he doesn't trust their guy, they're going to move all their money to me. Let's say that you know what? I was screwed up. I had a bad day, a bad head cold, didn't do it very well. So now the next mailing I do, I only get in front of one person with $1 million. So now I've done 2 mailings, so I'm into this for $9 grand. I got in front of just 2 people with $1 million. How worried would I be? If I got in front of 2 people with $1 million each, how worried would I be? How worried would I be? I wouldn't, exactly. And why wouldn't I be? Now here's the thing, guys. These scripts that I gave you in the tutorials, do you know how much better you are? If you can master those scripts, do you think you're going to be as good as me or better than I was when I made $1 million? Those scripts are 10 times better than when I made my $1 million. I didn't have anybody to listen to my tapes for me. I was struggling to figure it out myself. Guys, you have all of the tools in your hands. When you get in front of $1 million, $2 million, $6 million, to have an unbelievable 2017. The only thing that can prevent you from having a great 2017, there's only one thing that can prevent you from having a great 2017, and that is your inability to have the desire to master the 21. You gotta master the 21. Master those tutorials, okay? That's what you need to do. So anything to add before we let them go there, Jeff?
The only thing I would say is, it's all of this is on the website. So when you log in on the What's New page, all of the things, the manual on the eye-to-eye has been updated. Everything that we talked about today is in there. And the only thing I would add is get going, because we've had people do it already that are already putting in orders or jobs for January, and the mailing for January I think goes out on the 10th or the 16th, depending on the part of the country that you're in. So it's not too soon to start planning for 2017. So start lining them up, and let's make 2017 a great year for everybody.
Jeff and I will bust our butts and help you with tape review after tape review to get you better, so that every meeting you're better than the next one. In fact, my favorite thing to do is to listen to tape reviews. So I know that's something that will actually make somebody better. So with that said, we're so interested in you spending that time mastering the 21, we're not even going to have a coaching call for the next 2 Mondays. Well, actually, it's because there's 2 holidays, but we're also interested in you being so mastering the 21. So we've got 2 holidays coming up, guys. We've got Christmas and the New Year's holiday, so we won't have any coaching call for the next 2 Mondays. How about spending some of that time mastering the 21s, okay? Please, please, please do that, and you'll have an unbelievable 2017. I really appreciate all that you've done this year, all the hard work you put in. But, guys, let's make all that hard work pay off in 2017 and make some money. Make sense? Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Hanukkah. You guys have a great rest, a couple of 2 weeks, and we'll talk to you soon, and get a hold of us if you need anything. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you.